Today we're going to be taking a look at Cities Skylines on the Potato Masher. Now the Potato Masher is a computer custom built for $356 in December of 2014 and designed to compete against the PlayStation 4 for the duration of its life cycle. But today we are looking at Cities Skylines, which is a PC exclusive game. So there will be no PlayStation 4 comparisons. Now, Cities is the latest in a long series of city builders that had its most noticeable outing in last year's SimCity, which was kind of a failure as far as a lot of fans of the city builder genre are concerned. And Cities Skylines has been looked forward to by a lot of different people, and all of their hopes and dreams seem to have paid off because the game is fantastic. As always, links to the build video and the parts list for the Potato Masher are in the description of this video, as well as a link to a full quality download if you want a pixel peep. For now, let's talk about the game's visuals. If there was ever a game where a locked 60 FPS wasn't really that necessary, it would probably be a city builder like Cities Skylines. As long as your frame rate stays above 30, so the game looks smooth, then you'll probably be pretty good. Now, I turned all the settings up to very high on the Potato Masher, and I'm looking at two maps. I'm looking at one that I'm working on, my own custom city on Evil Viking 13's Appalachia map, which is, you can currently find it in the Steam Workshop. I'm also looking at a user-designed map called the Los Santos, I believe. It's the GTA 5 map. And I'm using that one too because it's such a large map that if we're going to get any slowdown, we'll definitely notice it on there. Now, like I said, the frame rate is pretty good and the game looks great, and as you zoom into street level stuff, it's going to slow down. That's just how the game is. And it's not really that any one piece of the Potato Masher is being pushed that hard, it's just that the game doesn't render things that fast when you're looking at such a close level, or when you turn the game simulation speed up to the highest setting. That will also slow your frame rate down a little bit. But again, as long as it's above 30, you're really not going to notice that unless you have a frame rate counter on, and the game looks great. There's no noticeable screen tearing or anything like that. So 1080p, all the settings, runs great. There's really not much to talk about in a good way. There's not many graphic settings to adjust, and the game just works fine. Running Cities Skylines at 1440p is pretty much the same as running it at 1080p. Everything just works. I turned all the settings up to very high. Very slight frame rate dip, but again, the slowdowns when they happen in this game are more to do with the simulation than they are your graphics horsepower. So as you can see, zooming around, zooming into city level, running at higher speeds, the game still runs great. You get occasional momentary drops below 30 FPS, but they're so quick that again, if you don't have a frame rate counter, you'll never notice or feel like the game is running noticeably choppy. Any choppiness you might see here is just me scrolling around with the mouse and keyboard. But the game looks and feels very smooth, and the same is true at 4K. Now 4K does have more noticeable frame drops when they happen. They tend to drop to the mid-20s, but honestly there's not really that much of a noticeable difference when you're just watching it, but it is there. I mean, you can definitely tell the game is starting to run a little bit slower, but it looks absolutely fantastic. And the drop in performance, I think, is probably worth it if you really wanted to play this game at 4K. But again, we're talking about playing a game on a monitor that costs more than the computer you're using to play it. So 4K is really more of a nice bonus feature than it is a necessity, because I have a 4K monitor and I could very happily play this game at 1440p or 1080p. It's just not the type of game that needs a super high resolution, but the Potato Masher certainly can deliver. And then, just for fun, I decided to try to use a mod that lets you scale up the resolution even farther to run the game at 5K, and this happened. And even on the lowest settings, it doesn't really work, so that was probably not worth trying, but I just thought it would be fun. In conclusion, Cities Skylines on the Potato Masher is a pretty game that runs great and has no real downsides unless you can't run anything less than a maximum 60 FPS locked V-synced blah blah blah, in which case you're just kind of being pedantic, because you should definitely enjoy this game even if you can't run it at 60, and it looks fantastic, and it'll probably run on whatever computer you already have, even if you don't have something even as fast as the Potato Masher. So thanks for watching. Make sure to check out the description for any links to anything you might want to know about the Potato Masher, and see you next time.